Let me just start off by saying that another exciting day in the city of Houston. In fact, over the last 6 weeks, last 5 weeks really, have been incredible for the city when it comes to innovation and technology and startups. And this is another one of those incredible days. Certainly honored to be standing next to Councilmember Dwight Borkins from District D, Councilmember Jack Christie at large, Councilmember Amanda Edwards at large, and Councilmember Carlos Cisneros from District H. And then this morning, you know, I certainly want to acknowledge our partners here on today. Microsoft, I'm standing with Raamel Mitchell, who will be speaking shortly. Raamel comes out of Dallas and is here. And then Cameron Carr and Paul Donovan, Cameron and Paul, and they flew in from Seattle. And then there are a number of other individuals from Microsoft that's here with us. Let me just, if you just raise your hand if you're from Microsoft, a number of them who are with us. So thank you all for being present, and welcome to the city of Houston. It wasn't too long ago that I set a goal for Houston to become the next hotbed in our nation for innovation in technology and the digital universe. Well, I would advise anyone to not blink unless they want to miss what's going on in the city of Houston, because we've been moving rapidly since I set the goal. Today, I am excited, and I mean very, very much excited, to announce an alliance between Houston and Microsoft, the first of its kind in the United States, not the first of its kind in the city. And I want to underscore that, the first of its kind in the United States. Microsoft has chosen Houston for its first Internet of Things, in quotes, official space in the nation. And it is doing so exactly because of the ambitious goal we set for Houston to grow technology innovation as its next economic frontier, after doing the same thing with energy, medicine, space exploration, and the port. But before I explain further, let's look at the context in which we are meeting this morning. Last year, we combined 3 separate startup incubation groups into a one-stop innovation team called Houston Exponential. Then came the announcement last month that the 1938 Sears building in Midtown will serve as an innovation hub involving its landlord, Rice University, and the city's other major colleges and universities, as well as large and small businesses. Then came the blockbuster announcement just a few days ago that the Texas Medical Center will create the TMC3 campus, where huge medical and learning institutions will combine for the very first time to create the world's finest biomed research center. Now, the Flatiron School, a computer academy, is opening downtown and offering scholarships in cooperation with Facebook and the Urban League. Revolutionary changes are taking place far from the city of town, too. At Interstate 10 and the Beltway, the new $150 million Founders District will give Houston bragging rights for hosting on its 30 acres of world's largest co-working and startup incubator space, to be called the Cannon. Now, you know more about what I meant in my State of the City speech this week when I said that we didn't get Amazon, so we will make our own. And on a long-term basis, and if you thought it couldn't get any better, today says it does get better. And it does get better in the city of Houston because of another outstanding corporate partner that is joining with us today. And I am thrilled to have Microsoft working with us in the city of Houston. You know, it doesn't get any better. On a long-term basis, Microsoft will up Houston's technology game starting at the grassroots. It will adopt one or more middle schools or high schools in the 5 complete community neighborhoods and focus some of its computer literacy power on that school. It will teach computer literacy to parents, veterans, and our workers transitioning from one career to another. It will host 4 DigiCamps for between 200 and 400 young people. It will work against the gender stereotype by hosting a program called DigiGirl Camp. It will provide software support and visibility to local tech startups. It will work with Houston on smart city initiatives and provide data bank muscle for our Harvey Release volunteer program, because Houston still needs you now. When I met with them several weeks ago, we talked about our volunteer program where we are looking at banking 2 million volunteer hours in one year. And the question is, how do we categorize all of that, and what platform we will be using? And Microsoft stepped up and said, we would love to help you on that, because it's one of a kind program that we're looking at in the country, working with FEMA. But you kind of need the platform in order to make those sort of things happen. And they stepped up then and said they will be inclined to do that. There is more to tell, so instead of me just saying it all, let me bring up Raamel Mitchell, the Microsoft Central U.S. Citizen and Public Affairs Director, based in the Dallas area, and then that would be Cameron Carr, Microsoft's Director of Solutions. Raamel.
Thank you, Mayor Turner. This has been an amazing journey here. About a year ago, Mayor Turner and I had a conversation, and in that conversation, I was really blown away by his vision, really by the vision of the city. Not to just think of Houston as an energy capital, but really as a center for innovation, a center for technology, and a center for entrepreneurship that could act as a hub for innovation for not just the central U.S., but for the U.S. and eventually for the globe. And so it's with that leadership that this team has brought, that the mayor has brought, that we're just really thrilled to be here today. At Microsoft, our vision, our mission really centers around empowerment, empowering every organization and individual on the planet to achieve more. And it is amazing to be here with each of you today, because that is exactly what you are doing as you're driving innovation and as you're driving programs and initiatives that were just laid out that will empower the citizens of Houston, that will empower those that are in this region, and again, ultimately the U.S. With the Digital Alliance that we are announcing, we're able to do a number of things. One, we're going to focus on STEM education, empowering young people to leverage technology so that they can actually access this new age of digital transformation that we're all living in. We believe that through the programs that the mayor just announced that we're going to drive together, DigiGirls, Youth Spark, and a host of other programs, that we will be able to impact the lives of students that are thinking about technology, that are thinking about the future of their careers. And so no matter if you are in the 2nd Ward or the 3rd Ward, Gulfton, or near East Side, you have an opportunity to achieve more. You have an opportunity to produce something that's great. You have the opportunity not just to work at the next Microsoft, although we would like for you to work for us or for the great city of Houston, but also to create that next innovation, that next technology company, that next app that's really going to put this city, this country on the map. The other aspect of this alliance is really focused on economic development. And when we think about economic development, there are really two things that we think about. The first would be workforce development. Within this, we have programs and initiatives that are focused on career development, that are focused on digital literacy, that we will also implement, and we're going to work with a number of startups and workforce development organizations to implement. The second will be focused on the startup ecosystem, and I mentioned that just a little bit, but the startup ecosystem is really, really amazing. And one of the things that we understand is that no matter what community that you're in, everyone has a great idea. Everyone has something that they want to produce. And we believe that we can partner with the startup ecosystem in Houston and partner with the city to really make that a reality. The third piece I won't go into, I'm going to let my colleague Cameron Carr drive into, and that is going to be around innovation. And this is really an exciting area. And when we think about innovation in smart cities, we can't think of another, well, I shouldn't say we can't think of another smart city, but we can't think We can't think of another city that's smarter than Houston at this point. So my colleagues in Dallas and Seattle, that's a TMZ note right there. But we're really excited about the potential here. And the mayor mentioned this a little earlier. When you think of Houston, it's not just about energy. It's not just about what's being developed, but you have to think about the port that's located here, one of the busiest ports in the U.S. We have to think about organizations like NASA, right? This is a city that literally people came from and played a key role on helping us achieve our dreams, literally helping us as a nation to reach the moon. And so when we think about the next moonshots, we think about this long-term partnership that we'll have between Microsoft and Houston so that we can enable organizations and individuals and communities throughout the city to achieve more, to make an impact, and really make us all proud. And so with that being said, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Cameron Carr, who is the Director for IoT and Solutions with Microsoft. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm going to get up here and talk about technology, innovation, and forward thinking, and I'm going to have my handwritten notes here. So, I'm going to get my fancy tablet will be issued to me pretty soon here. So next time, I promise. So, thank you, Raamel. Again, my name is Cameron Carr. I'm the Director of IoT Solutions at Microsoft at corporate. And so we work really closely with the local communities. And as you see from the representation here from Microsoft, we have a ton of people who are fully dedicated to Houston at all times. And from the corporate perspective, we work very closely with them. Now, I won't go into the broader picture because I don't think anybody could do a better job than what Raamel did on what we're thinking about more broadly. But as it relates to IoT specifically, so IoT and smart things, artificial intelligence, with these things that are coming to light now and that Microsoft is one of the leaders in, we're really at a place of transition in humanity, in the way that we experience the world and how we interact with the things around us. And it's really a transformational moment here, and kind of a quantum leap in society. Whether the average person sees that today or not, we are there. And so what it's about is really it's about bringing the physical world into the digital world, where we're able to see and connect and understand the relationship between things that in the past were inanimate objects, but are now living, breathing parts of how we experience society and how we set that up. And so, while we are still in the early stages, we are right on the edge of creating this sort of bold new world that we live in. And Houston, where we couldn't ask for a better partner than Mayor Turner and the city of Houston in helping us to sort of express that and move that ball forward. So really, what does it come down to? It comes down to the idea that everything can be done better by bringing that physical world into the digital world and allowing us to use our compute resources to interact with the world and do things more efficiently. So now, but when we talk about that, talk about bringing that physical world or into the digital world, we really have to focus on security. And Microsoft is the leader and forefront in terms of thinking about that security and how do we make sure that our citizenry, as we bring ourselves into this new world, is safe from some of the things that we quite frankly have seen in the real world today and in the news every day. So we just announced Azure Sphere, which is all about IoT, Internet of Things, security, and keeping that world safe. And that's sort of a thought leadership piece that we're going to be bringing to Houston as we move forward. So really, this foundation, this initiative is really a foundational step in how we think about smart cities and how Houston can help be a lighthouse for the rest of the country in terms of how we implement that into society and into our daily lives. And so it takes a visionary leader like Mayor Turner and the team that he has assembled here around him to have the visionary thought and sort of the purpose to move forward and really invest and work with a company like us and allow us the opportunity to come in. So we want to say thank you to Mayor Turner for doing that. Yeah, absolutely. So more tactically, when we kind of talk about this and think about this vision of the future that we have and this vision that Mayor Turner has for the city, how do we go about doing that? So for our part, Microsoft is a platform company. We, as Raamel so rightly put, we are focused on allowing every person, citizen, and organization in the world, allowing them and enabling them to achieve more. But, with the city of Houston and us, we know we can't do that alone. Smart city is a really big, organic entity that it creates and evolves over time. And so we have to take a 360 approach. So one, Microsoft is going to employ the thousands of really strong IoT partners that we have, and we're going to bring them to the city and work together. We know that just alone the city and Microsoft cannot do that. So we're going to be looking to our partners to help us there, and we're going to be looking to the city to bring in the other aspects of the city. It's not just the city government. It's the public entities, it's the private entities, it's the infrastructure and real estate owners, it's the universities, and of course, it's the citizenry. It has to be a 360 inclusive effort where we all work together if we really want to achieve the full vision of what this great city can be and show the rest of the country what is possible. And so at the end of the day, what does that end up, where does that lead us? Well, we can start to think about how do we make our schools safer? That's definitely a topic of interest in these times. It can be very trying. How do we make our energy greener? How can we use drones after inclement weather like we had last year here in Houston to keep our citizens safer? All of these things can be addressed by IoT, and we plan to look into those as we take, as we mentioned with Mayor Turner, this long-term approach. And so we're also looking for everybody here and all the entities that we talked about a little bit earlier to be a part of that. So thank you. We appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Well, first, let me just say, you may be wondering, how do we solidify this relationship? Because Cameron was here earlier, and let me tell you how it all came about. Because Raamel was in the room, and then there was a couple of others from Seattle, and they were getting ready to fly back to Seattle. They were going to have to fly back. But I said to Cameron, there's this nice barbecue place in Acres Home. Because they were asking, where's the best barbecue in the city? And I said, well, that's, in the neighborhood where I was born and reared, still live, Burns Barbecue in Acres Home. And I just threw that out because he was on his way back to the airport. Lo and behold, he called me back and said, I'm at Burns Barbecue. I said, you were heading back to the airport? He said, yeah, I got Lyft or Uber, one of them, to take me by Burns Barbecue first. And I just want you to know that you're absolutely right. And so so the deal is done, And I do want to acknowledge, in fact, Lisa Kent, who's over IT. Lisa, why don't you come and join us up here? You should. And Jesse Bounds, you're over the Mayor's Office of Innovation. You should be joining us up here as well. Why don't you come up here as well? And I do want to extend a great deal of thanks and appreciation to Microsoft